Hello, everyone. We're back for another Sapien podcast episode. We're going to do no intro on this one. We're just going to jump right in, do a mini episode with Dr. Gary, maybe 15 minutes. How's it going today, Gary?
It's going great, Brian. We've both been on trips, and kind of the podcast game has slipped away from us. So I'm excited to be back on, and it's been really interesting in the clinic. It continues to grow, and yeah, it is a very, very strange time. It becomes increasingly stranger. A lot of my concerns about what would happen after the pandemic are being realized. A lot of mental health issues, a lot of people that didn't take care of themselves for years coming out of the woodwork with all sorts of problems. Um, in a weird way, it's exciting to me because I saw it coming and we're ready. We're ready to help people. And I've been taking on tons of new patients and really trying to apply everything I've learned and even continue to change my treatment strategies. That's something I'm really proud of, and I continue to do every day. Um,
I love it. Well, yeah, I'm glad someone's doing the diet and lifestyle as medicine instead of just pure pharmaceuticals. So yeah, we're doing great things over at Sapien, and Evolve Healthcare is where Gary's at. But
should we?
I don't know who wants to go first.
Is
Go
it
ahead.
too soon to make an announcement about what you're working on? Are we going to tease it, or are you going to let everyone know what your big project? Because Brian is working. Well, let me do it. Brian is working super hard on the movie, you guys. I know we don't talk about it quite as much as we used to, but it's because Brian is making an exceptional movie, not just a good movie. He's putting his blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, and we're all very proud of him. We also all push him, and when I say all, his close friends, me and the Sapien team, we're all poking the bear trying to get him to go quicker, but at the same time we want the best product out there. And I know you're putting a ton of time in, but there's also another Sapien related project you are working on. I don't want to steal your thunder. What do you
Oh
want to
yeah,
what do you want to tell everyone about it?
the compound. Yeah, we're calling it maybe the Sapien Compound. It's under construction now. It's in Austin. It's so exciting. Yeah, we're building out the ultimate ancestral health and wellness center events. I'm already trying to book people. I was just talking to Metabolic Mike. Mike Mutzel's the man. He might be in
That's great.
Austin soon. We could, have an event with him. This center is for that and plus a whole lot more. You can have nose to tail products there. You can get your meat locally. You can work during the day with like-minded people. We have an outdoor gym, a sauna, a cold plunge, a barbecue area, a fire pit. It's the dream world, and it's just here in Austin. So yeah, if you're in Austin, keep in the loop. You can go to sapien.org and get on the email list. So we put out the Sapien newsletter. So we need to kind of get better at advertising that and getting people on board on the newsletter because we've been writing it once a week now. And I write it with Matt, our great nose to tail employee and Sapien helper, and we give just good information, quick content, and you can stay in the loop on all things Sapien, nose to tail, Food Lies there. Food Lies film, wow, we're going hard for KetoCon. That's in 2 weeks about, and we're going to show a preview of the film, the intro that we've spent so long on. We handmade all these scenes. People are really going to understand why it's taking so long when they see this intro. I haven't shown many people this intro at all, but it is good.
I
It
haven't
is
seen it.
good.
I haven't
Oh, I
seen
know.
it.
It's so good. I'm telling you, the few people that have seen it they don't even know what to say. They're speechless. They're just like,
Yeah.
this is going to be the best film of all time, any of all health films.
I want you guys to know, and I think this is something that Brian brought to the table when we first conceptualized this whole Sapien, nose to tail, peak human, evolve network that we've created. I want you guys to know that we have taken, as a group, for all of these companies, absolutely zero investment dollars. We are doing this literally like the most grassroots effort, like piggybacking it. I don't even know the term. Like we're literally doing all of this stuff by ourselves. I think it's something that
Bootstrapping.
bootstrapping. Not thank you. We are. I've done that with I did that with my company unintentionally. A lot of people take business loans to get things going. I did not. Brian started his Peak Human podcast with the idea of making a film. He had you guys contribute to the film, but has not taken any formal investors. We kind of conceptualized the idea of Sapien in my backyard many years ago. At that time, we thought about podcasts. We thought about the film. We thought about building a community. We thought about a sapien center. We thought about a medical practice. We didn't know how it would all come together. We didn't have a master grand plan. We just had a bunch of dreams, ideas, and concepts that we thought we wanted to bring to people. God, it's been a long time now, but it's really fun to see them realized. And we hope you guys kind of appreciate that we are really just trying to do this on our own without anyone kind of meddling with our ideas. And I think that that's something we're going to stick to and be really proud of. And I think it shows in our current products, and it's going to show as we keep growing.
It's so important. Yeah, I don't want to be swayed by big investors or other companies. The only people who have helped us are private individuals so far. So yes, I did show the intro to the Food Lies film to someone, to a private individual, and he did put in some money. But that's as far as we go. And with the SAPIEN Compound, we do have people in Austin putting in their own money, just private individuals with no affiliations with anything else, because that's how we do things. We just want it to be a community project, and make it all happen with our community, for the by the community, for the community. So I don't know, this is not supposed to be an ad. I mean, we're not selling anything.
Well, I think we're at a kind of an interesting point in this process where we're really trying to bring all of these things to reality. I mean, even something as simple as basic supplement line. I put it around the idea for a long time. We talked about it for a long time, but it's not like we're sitting here trying to, oh, we're going to go make $1 million on supplements. But at the same time, you've done really great with your nose to tail products, and I really feel strongly about some basic supplements that most people should be taking. I've used supplementation as a alternative to pharmaceuticals. For viral disease, for allergies, and sort of histamine related diseases, for metabolic disease, and vitamin deficiency. So I'm working on that. Not quite ready to announce it, but I think in the next few weeks to months, we'll be releasing a Sapien supplement line, which is really exciting. And it's all just little chips. Like, we're just building all of these little chips. I guess the Sapien Center is a pretty big chip, but
Well, yeah.
anyway, the idea would be that we want to bring all of this stuff into reality simply because we want to. It's not about a money grab. It's not about, becoming millionaires, but we're very, very excited to share our ideas and our products, and we want to bring the best to our people. And that's really like our number one mission, is to share our sapien diet and lifestyle approach to health. And we're trying our butts off, you guys. We're doing everything we can, and we just want to thank everyone for their support. Again, this is starting to sound like an ad, but I still am grateful
Yeah, I
for
mean,
you guys.
no, it's not an ad. Just go to sapient.org and stay in the loop, get on the newsletter. I mean, yeah, not an ad. We're just kind of updating everyone on what we've been doing lately. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we have a few topics we can talk about too. I had an idea
What's
that,
that?
so I walk my dog. My dog's getting older, and there's this great homeless guy outside. I'm in Austin. I'm on this kind of main commercial thoroughfare type of street, and he tries to give her treats, and then one time he has all this bread and just giving her like tons of bread. I'm like, interesting that people know to not give their dog like a loaf of bread instead of their dog food, right? Like, you wouldn't be like, okay, today I'm going to give my dog a loaf of bread instead of the kibble, even if it's kibble, right? Even if it's kibble, the kibble has a protein, it has the nutrients they need. Yet all these parents are just feeding their kids pasta, crackers, bread, all this stuff. It's insane. It's like, that's the same thing. They care more about their dogs than their kids, or they don't. I don't think that's not true. They obviously care about their kids more. They just don't put it together. That's what I'm saying, is this cognitive dissonance. Like, they know that the dog needs the food. You're like, why won't you give your dog a loaf of bread instead of the meal? They're like, oh, because the dog food has the protein and nutrients it needs. So why are you doing that with your kid every day? They're like, oh, they're
Yeah.
picky, or they don't even think about it. Like, that's exactly equivalent. Crackers, goldfish, pasta, bread, oatmeal, like all these just empty sort of foods are displacing all the protein and nutrients your kid needs. And it's insane that people don't think of it that way.
Well, I don't think they're thinking about the human animal as what the human animal is. I think like when you look at a dog, even the little fluffy dogs that are super far removed from their wolf ancestors, I think inherently we're like, oh, that's a wolf, right? Like that came from a wolf, and wolves eat meat, and my dog is a carnivore, even though even some people are confused about that. But I just think the connection to the dog's ancestry is more obvious in our mind, whereas we have mixed up this concept of what a human is, what a human needs to survive, so much that people don't realize when they're looking at their baby that that baby needs protein and fat and a little bit of healthy carbs, not just processed garbage. Um, you know what it made me think of. I didn't think of this before, but I watched this show called Alone. I don't know. Have you ever seen that? It's on History Channel. It's like one of my favorite shows, you guys, and anyone who's listening to this would probably be attracted to it. It's a game show where 10 people get put into the wild and they put them in crazy places like the Arctic or, grizzly territory in Canada, stuff like that. And basically they put them there with 10 items that they get to pick and some basic supplies, and they've got to survive as long as they can alone. And it's a great show because the idea is, oh man, you could figure out survival, but without any interactions when you're alone, it's really hard on your mind. Okay, fine. But what you really find out from the show is, what do you need to survive? And what you see is those that are really good at foraging make it pretty along. They can survive. Like they're there, but they're withering away and they never win. They never win because they start losing all their fat. They go into this catabolic process. They lose all the muscles on their body. They eventually become very weak, and they either tap out or they have medics that come and check on them every so often. And the medic pulls them because they're dying. There's a lot of people there that are so mentally strong. They'll just sit there and like starve to death eating, berries until it freezes over, and then they're screwed. But if you can get protein, you win, right? Like, so if you can get protein, they could all pretty much make a house. If they can get protein, then it just becomes, how long can you be alone for? My point here is,
Hunting, and we're talking about hunted animals and gathered animals. Yes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're just in the wild. I mean, you either got to fish. They often have bows and arrows, so they can hunt. They can set traps. They can forage. Sometimes they actually do find like little fish on the beach and stuff, but it's like you can't survive on that. Like you got to figure out how to get protein and fat. And it goes to the root of what we're talking about. That is such an extreme situation, but it shows you like, what does a human being need to survive? Shelter, water, and protein, and with fat, obviously. And they actually, because it's a game show, they can get away with like just eating bunnies, right? Because even though the bunnies are super low fat, it'll like keep them going long enough. The longest anyone's ever been on the show is 100 days thus far, and that guy butchered, like he literally stabbed an ox with his like bare hand. It's the coolest thing. Season 7. Anyway, I've always meant to bring the show up on our
Yeah.
podcast because it really connects to the ancestral way of life. And it even emphasizes a lot of the tenets, including like relationships and the idea of tribe, that you could be a hermit on your own, but you're going to go crazy. You really need each other. You need people. You need animal food. You need shelter. You need to keep your mind busy. Oh, it's just so good, you guys. If just check it out, you can download the History app, and it's like free. It's such a good show. There's a new season
Well,
of it. Sorry, another
no, I hear
ad
about
for
it
a
a lot.
History
No,
Channel show.
no, it's great. No, people tell me about this a lot. You'd be surprised how many
Yeah.
viewers or followers have reached out to me about this show. I've heard many people talk about it. I probably had a guest talk about it as well on Peak Human. But
Um,
super important. And yes, people think they're vegan until life hits, and life hits hard, and they're hunting animals, and super important. But yeah, I want to wrap up. It really does tie into what I'm talking about. Is
yes, it
that
does. Yes.
okay? Yeah, with the new sort of, I call it propaganda because I think it is. Is there's plant-based propaganda rampant throughout the world. It's coordinated. I actually am doing a presentation at KetoCon in a couple weeks on it, where I'm kind of tracing back and I say exposing the $1 trillion agenda against red meat. There really is this worldwide push to go plant based, and it's going against our instincts. It's going against being human and like eating protein and fat. And it's a lot of it's about money, and it's a lot about big companies, and it's all kinds of things. It all makes sense. It's not a conspiracy. You can see it. Just it's so easy to see. I was even thinking about how much propaganda it took to make people believe a cow in a field was the biggest problem with climate. Just imagine that. A cow in a field. Picture this. And they got the world thinking that this is the biggest enemy, not the billowing smokestacks and the factories and the energy and all the airplanes and all this stuff, right? 95% of the emissions in the world come from all everything else except for animal agriculture. And yet they've got people convinced that the cow in the field is a problem. Like that is propaganda, right? That is the most successful propaganda you can think of.
I think the power of the movie. I think like, you know, a movie is a very, very not just a movie, like a video, like a picture with audio. Like it's just such a powerful tool to sway the masses. And one of the reasons why Brian took on the challenge of making this movie is because you knew that from the beginning, and you saw that the overwhelming amount of money that was being pushed to these vegan propaganda films. I mean, it is insane how much money has been put into these movies, and it's every couple of years. And then, as you were making your movie, we saw some other animal based documentaries come out, and while I love them, they're just not on the level of these other movies. Like the propaganda-ness, the quality of video, it just wasn't there. So I know your strategy, and I hope people realize why it's taking so long, because you really are trying to fight fire with fire. And I think it's a great strategy, and I think a really powerful movie is the only way to really get people to at least open their eyes a little. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found a way to weave it back to the Food Lights film. I wasn't trying to bring it to that, but yes, I am trying to fight the propaganda. But we have to go here in 2 minutes. But I wanted to just kind of wrap up the thoughts about the dog food and the bread as well, because it goes back to Weston Price, actually, which we bring up a lot. And Weston Price called them the modern food, the modern displacement foods. So, kind of my main point is these modern foods are the sugar, flour, oil. He found this when they came into the village or wherever that he went to go study. They pushed out the good ancestral foods, the animal foods, the fat, the protein, and they pushed it out and replaced it with these modern, cheap ingredients that have no nutrition, right? And that's anything with the sugar, flour, and oil. It's basically all processed foods. And that's the big story. Even if you don't get into the details on why certain ingredients can be bad and why seed oils are harmful and why they're not what your body wants, you can just look at it from this very high level view, simplistic view. Hey, it's displacing good nutrition. And yes, I don't want to give my dog a loaf of bread. It's displacing the good nutrition from her normal food. So people just have to wake up and realize that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing on a slow scale, time scale too, right? It's like, oh, this nutrition stuff doesn't happen overnight. But if half your diet is just filled up with these processed foods, bread, pastas, all that stuff, you're just pushing out good nutrition. 10 years later, you're overweight, you have metabolic syndrome, you have insulin problems, all that stuff. It's a slow process, and it's about displacement, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really exciting to see your film. I am excited. I can't help it. I'm very excited. I really wanted to get into some thyroid discussion, but I think we're going to have to save that for our next episode, you guys.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do short ones, and we'll do it coming out soon. So yeah, let's save the thyroid one. Reach out to us if you have any other topics. And Gary's at evolvehealthcare.com. You're Dr. Gary Evolve on Instagram. Check him
Yes.
out, Dr. Gary Evolve. You can DM him. You can DM me at food.lies.
And check
We'd love
out
to hear.
nosetotail.org. I've
Oh,
said it before.
nosetail.org.
Said it before and I'll say it again. Best food delivery service, meat delivery service on the market. Thank you, Brian Sanders.
I'd have to agree. It's all local. It's from Texas. It's not shipped in from Australia. So yeah, nosetail.org. Check us out online, and we'll see you next week for another quick episode.